in their movement. March for Our Lives is a student-led call for activism, and I'm proud of every student who is involved in today's events. I was invited to speak because I am a high school teacher. I chose the most rewarding profession, and I'm thankful every day that I'm an educator. I began my journey in 2001. Is that good? Yeah. I was just out of college, and my first introduction to teaching through tragedy was on September 11th. Many of my students were not aware of the events unfolding, and as they arrived in my classroom, I had to give them horrible news. Many students had family and friends living in New York City, and family members on flights, and sadness and anxieties were high. For me, it was one of the most difficult days in my teaching career. I was not teaching health or literature that day. I was a counselor and mentor and a shoulder to cry on. I once again had to teach through tragedy on December 14th, 2012. When the Sandy Hook shooting happened, I felt horrified and emotionally stunned. 20 children between the ages of 6 and 7 were fatally shot and killed, as well as 6 fellow educators. I am a mother to 2 sons. They were very close in age to the young victims, and my husband and I were filled with grief. We kept our boys home from school the next day and spent time in mourning along with the rest of the nation. I held my sons close and was filled with fear and apprehension about them returning to school. I think of Sandy Hook every single day that they walk out the door. I make sure to hug them and tell them that I love them, because the residual fear that something may happen to them while they are at school is forever present. No parent in any state in our great nation should have this feeling. Like many of you, I thought without a doubt that the appalling tragedy at Sandy Hook would be the event that finally catapulted change in our country. That having a class of first graders hunted and gunned down during their morning classes would propel the nation forward on fixing American gun laws. I was hopeful that our collective grieving hearts would drive our government towards immediate action and change. I was wrong. Yeah. This scenario has played out over and over again. The media has become saturated with stories of gun violence in schools. Here we are 6 years after Sandy Hook, and I am still teaching through tragedy. 34 days ago, on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 15 students and 2 educators were killed in Parkland, Florida. Yet another school and community in intense pain and anguish. My teacher preparation program did not have a class in teaching through tragedy. It did not foretell that I would spend my future professional development having to participate in active shooter response training. I did not realize that my colleagues and I would spend hours in a classroom while police officers with fake guns ran through simulations of what it would be like if an active shooter approached our classrooms and tried to kill everyone inside. As I earned my credential, I was not told that I would learn how to empower myself to confront a murderer walking through my classroom door, or to become a body shield for my students in the event of an active shooter. Nor did my teacher preparation program explain that there would be days that I would have to stand in front of my high school students and explain that they must take the alarms in the school seriously, because it could mean that we are next, that that's time it is happening to us. No one explained that I would have to ease the tension and the fear in my students' faces by reassuring them that I would be willing to put my life before theirs. And no one handed me my teaching license upon graduation and said that I might have to entertain the idea of learning how to fire a gun and then prepare to shoot another person, or even possibly an unstable student, to keep my classroom a safe space, which should never be a part of any teacher's job description.
That's right.
Our learning is constantly interrupted with worry and stress and alarms and safety drills. My students don't deserve to live in fear that they will be the next victim of gun violence in schools. I stand here today representing all of us who stand in solidarity with students as they demand safe schools now. Not safe schools someday, not safe schools maybe, but safe schools now. This time, teaching through tragedy feels different. I'm proud of all the students involved in today's events. Their words have power.
That's right.
I hope that our young people continue to show up and to shout loud, because we truly are marching for our lives.